This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Charlie McDermott.
Well, welcome to episode number 973 of the Good Neighbor Podcast. And today we have yet another good neighbor. And man, from Philly. So doesn't get any better than that. Of course, a Philly boy talking here. We have James Cushing, and he is with Law Office of Fay Riva Cohen. James, how you doing?
Hi, good afternoon, Charlie. I'm happy to be with you. And you're right. Philadelphia is the Paris of North America. Can't beat it.
Amen. Amen. Love it. Love it. So fill us in on your firm. What are you guys doing there?
The Law Office of Fay Riva Cohen is a boutique firm, which means it's small, and we know our clients personally. We interact with them directly, and we have 4 lawyers typically. I shouldn't say specialize. We have a focus on employment and civil rights on one branch of it, family and domestic and unemployment comp, and some other smaller cases for me, contracts and stuff. And then we also have an estate planning and real estate person who does that kind of sort of work.
Wow.
So it's kind of a 3-headed dragon kind of firm, but with each lawyer taking his own focus.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And, what's nice, I would imagine, one year I might need a certain, legal advice in one area. And then, of course, it becomes James, I need an attorney for something else. And it's nice you have someone right under the same roof, right?
Yeah. So one of the things we like to try to do is a holistic kind of approach to our clients where we just don't sort of myopically focus on one thing. We have enough people here to issue spot and say, well, if we do X, then this other guy could help you with that other area of the law because that's impacted or something like that. When I do divorce work and I'm like, well, I'm trying to help you out with your house and what you're going to do with it after you divorce, our real estate attorney can come in and say, well, let me give you a hand with that. And that helps.
Yeah, there you go. Wow. So how about your journey, James? How did you get into law?
Well, I got into law because I guess it's very popular now, but I was kind of interested in government and civics when I was in junior high and high school, and I got a degree in public policy from Penn State. And so I had this idea that I was going to parlay that to the practice of law because I thought that gave me a good start and a good sort of base of knowledge to do that kind of thing. I went to, after I graduated from Penn State, way back when, in 1999, I went to Temple University, which is, if you're not from Philadelphia, it's like would you say it's the university that keeps the city running. There's an old saying at Temple, if everybody in Temple took a day off, the city would come to a grind. Right. So
that's good.
It's the main city university. And I was, not to toot my own horn or whatever, but it's now, the school is named after James E. Beasley. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was one of the biggest personal injury lawyers in the city. And I was the first person he ever gave a scholarship to go to school there. So I was in that first group of kids who got that.
Very cool.
I graduated in 2002 from Temple University with my JD, and of course I took and passed the bar in Philadelphia, in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and I've been in practice ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. You originally from the area?
Yeah, I don't know where your podcast goes exactly, but I'm from the Somerton area of the city. That's where I grew up. So that's like if you're not from here, it's like probably the northeastiest, if you would, part of the city, close to the Bucks and Montgomery counties. Yeah. And, and I haven't moved very far. I moved to a place called Parkwood, which is, another part of the Northeast, not too far from what is now called the Philadelphia Mills, was traditionally called the Franklin Mills. And it might not be either of those things in a couple of years with the way malls are going.
Yeah, really. Yeah, my wife is from Northeast Philly, and I'm a Delaware County guy that we ended up in Chester County. So
yeah, when you said you're a Philly boy, you really mean you're a Philly adjacent boy. No.
Oh, come on now. Give me some credit.
So where's your wife from?
She went to, Nazareth Academy. Her brother went to Father Judge.
Oh, Father Judge.
Yeah. And
what part is she's from the Northeast, and I guess Holmesburg or Bridesburg or
Holmesburg.
Holmesburg. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, a nice area. There was a park right across the street from her house and her parents' house, and it was just unexpected because I had no idea what Northeast. I just envisioned lots of cars and homes, and it was quite nice.
Northeast is its own little place that's kind of distinct from the rest of the city.
Yeah. How do we get onto that? Jeez, I couldn't resist. But back to the law docket here, James. Misconceptions. What do you hear in your field that you can maybe educate our audience about?
Yeah, so a few things, I guess. First of all, I think I don't want to tarnish anyone's name, but I think that a lot of the attorneys you see on TV during television ads and stuff, give the wrong impression that,
Seen a few of those.
yeah. So a lot of people assume that, I can just pay you at the end. And, a lot of times that means, a lot of cases aren't conducive to that kind of thing. If I'm doing a child custody case, I can't take a cut at the end or whatever. So, there's this idea that like, oh, you only get paid if I win, right? And like, well, we don't do that kind of law. I think another misconception is that there's this idea that there's like this magic words, like as long as you use this technicalities, if you know all the technicalities, you can get us through and make this happen. And I'm like, well, cases are built upon the quality of the facts that come before me. And in my role, Jerry Seinfeld had a joke where he said that lawyers are the only people who've read the inside of the box when you play a board game. And that's fairly accurate. Is that the people's lives are what they are, and an attorney has read the inside of the box of life, and so we kind of sort of think how to navigate you to the goals you're trying to reach. And it's not just kind of like some magic thing that we can do. I say the magic words or whatever, it's I say to clients all the time, if you did something in your life, especially in my custody or divorce cases, it's going to come out. Like you have people on the other side who don't want you to win, so you might as well tell me now and don't keep things from me, so we can address it and sort of figure out how to deal with it in the future. I don't want to be surprised, and this happens, of course, but I hate being surprised in front of a judge or in a courtroom where the other side says, "Hey, what about X?" And I look over at my client like, "Hey, what about that? I never heard of that before." And lawyers we're pretty nice guys. We have a bad reputation, a lot of jokes about us, but overall we're fairly decent people, I think.
Oh, that's good. I appreciate you sharing that. So, James, how about outside of practicing law? What are you doing for fun?
Well, for fun, it depends on what that means, I guess. But in terms of how I parlay my practice, I'll start with that. I'm the vice president of the Christian Legal Clinics of Philadelphia, and we give pro bono legal service to 1,000 Philadelphians a year through 8 clinic locations, and so that's something I do. I've been doing since 2007 to try to help the disadvantaged in the city with legal assistance, which they desperately need. And we're always in need of volunteers and donations. So that's something, because we only are self-supported by donations. I also serve as the chancellor, which is like an old-timey medieval way of saying I'm the in-house attorney for the diocese of my church, the Anglican Diocese of Christ Our Hope. So I do canon law in that facet of my practice. Wow. Which is kind of obscure, but it's kind of interesting. Yeah. When it's not law, I'll use the word fan, but I think that's underselling it. Some might say fanatic of the prog rock band Yes, which is, if you're from Philadelphia, that's like this is their home base. Yeah, Philadelphia is the home base for Yes when they're coming from Britain, and so I have the largest YouTube collection of rarities and bootlegged recordings there is on YouTube. My channel is called Yes Source with 2 S's. And so we have, it's like 8,000. Yeah, it's 8,000 videos of studio sessions, rehearsals, live stuff, interviews, singles, edits, all kinds of things you could possibly think of over their since 1968. So it's 56-year career at this point. I think it is. So that's where we're at. So that's what I have, that collection. I've been doing that for about 8 years, and I play the bass guitar a little bit, not very well, but I do that. And of course, I have a wife and 2 kids, and that's always a source of fun. I don't want to leave them in the background. I don't mean to make. I should have mentioned them first, but
when you're dealing with Yes, I understand how that can happen. Yeah. I'm going to be. I've got Yes tunes in my head now.
Well, they're in the law right now. They're in court as of the other day. Someone accusing them of copyright infringement. So we'll see how that goes.
Really?
Yeah, just came down the pike on Friday, I guess it was, somewhere in Los Angeles. Yeah, I think it's the federal court in Los Angeles. There's someone suing him for lifting a chord progression in one of their new songs.
And they have new music. All right, I got to check that out.
Yeah, they have an album. They have 3 albums over the last 4 years, and another one coming out next year. So
wow. All right, I've been out of the loop. Dang it. How about when it comes to life challenge, hardship, James? What comes to mind? A period of time you were challenged, you got through it. Now looking back, you say, "Hey,
yeah, I mean, that's
better for it."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's part of my legal career, but probably the biggest challenge of my adult, and there's a happy ending, so I'll start with the sad and start with the happy ending. Yes. The biggest challenge of my adult life is my wife of almost 19 years was diagnosed with leukemia on Christmas Eve of 2020, and she came right up to the edge of heading into the afterlife, and it was But thank God for modern technology and modern medicine and the donation of a kidney from her sister. And she, after 2 years of dialysis and chemotherapy, she's cured. And she's now has a brand new kidney, which she's been living with for a couple of years now, and we're sort of on the other side of it. But it was really close there for a while, especially Christmas Eve, which is the worst time.
Ah,
And then she had a lot of hardship going to dialysis every day, or excuse me, 3 times a week, on the chemotherapy 5 days a week.
oh,
And then she had to get a new kidney from her sister, and she had 2 of her fingers amputated. So it was a whole bunch of things, but by the grace of God and lots of prayers and medicine, she was able to get over it, and we got past it. And now we're back to normal. Besides, minus the regimen of medicine she has to take every day, but that's hardly a burden.
yeah, man.
And that was rough.
Wow.
But I'll say that the church community really came through. They were super helpful with donations and food and helping transport things and get my kids to places. And it's really good to have a good Christian community to help with that.
And of course, that's when COVID's gone on. So you had that to navigate, right?
Yeah, that was right. That was both a blessing and a curse, because the curse part was my wife was in the hospital for 5 straight weeks, and so I wasn't allowed to visit her for once. She was in the hospital, I think 5 days, and the doctor was like, "You got to come in," because she was in delirium in the ICU. And the doctor was like, "This might be the last time you talk to her, so you should come in. But if you can get her to talk, maybe get her, kick her brain into gear." And so she was bleeding in the brain. And so I hung out with her for 2 or 3 hours, which is all I was allowed. And it's funny, her memory of our interaction was totally different than mine. She thinks I was interrogating her like a and I wasn't. I was just trying to, because she wasn't talking or anything. So situation. So I was trying to get her, do you know who I am? I was calling her dad, calling her mom, do you recognize these people? And her memory of it is, you just started shouting these questions at me. And I'm like, no. I was trying to get you to go on. So it was bad in that sense that I couldn't see her, but it was a positive because I live in the city and my kids go to city schools, and my kids had to do electronic cyber school because the school shut down. And that made it a lot easier when my wife couldn't drive for 6 months, and so my kids didn't have to leave to go to school anywhere. They could stay home, and so everything was sort of compact in my dining room for a while. So that made the transport a lot easier, and so the burden of her being immobile for a long time was relieved just a little bit, at least. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. And our prayers will certainly, in our audience, will send your way. I hear you. Hey, you're on the other side of it.
Yes.
But it's still it never ends, I'm sure.
No, she has her, like I said, her sister gave her a kidney, so she's got to take medicine every day and watch her diet. But that's, like I said, it's hardly a sacrifice in the face of what could have happened.
What you've been through. How about one thing you wish our listeners knew about your practice? What would that be?
Wow, I think that one thing I think that clients, I can't, everyone, there's lawyers on the gamut, but I think most people have a sincere desire to try to bring you through from your other problems. Lawyers are problem solvers, ultimately. You come to them and say, here's the problem I have, whether it's, this guy didn't fix my house right, or this, got arrested for this, or I have whatever it is, I have a problem, and can you help me get to the end of that problem? And lawyers are kind of like, not to sort of call back my wife, but they're kind of like doctors in some way, where they don't always give you the good news. But they will try to help you get through that bad news to a positive end. And so when a lawyer says, hey, listen, you really your case has these problems, or you have to overcome these struggles, or these are the detriments, these are the things that are going to be used against you, and a judge is not going to agree with it, or a jury is going to find against you. I'm not arguing against you. I'm not your enemy. I'm not trying to be favorable to the opposing party. I'm not arguing for the other side. I haven't been paid off by the opposing attorney to argue against you. My goal here is to say, listen, the reality of your situation has these challenges, and we need to try to get through them. And if we ignore them because they're offensive to you or you don't agree with them, then that's not going to work, because a judge or a jury and the other attorney, the other person, is going to certainly mention them, use them against you, argue for them. And so I'd like to have my clients know that, I'm not arguing for the other side. I don't agree with the other side, but there are challenges that we need to directly address if you want to achieve the goal that you have in your case.
Yeah, I guess back to that magic wand that people expect you just to wave the magic wand and fix it.
Just say habeas corpus or something, and it'll go away. I don't know. It doesn't work that way.
I love it. So, James, for listeners who want to get in touch, want to learn more, what's the best way for them to do so?
Sure. So as Mr. McDermott just said, my name is James Cushing, Cushing. You can get me at my law firm website, Fay Riva Cohen, F as in Frank, AYE, RIV as in Victor A, COHEN.com. My telephone number is 215-563-7776. And if you would let me for a moment, if you, as I said, the clinic is that I serve is we try to help out 1,000 people a year with free legal services. We serve the most needy in our city. And we only work on donations. So if you have anything you want to offer to us, we greatly appreciate it. CLCPhila, PHILA.org would be great.
So CLC, what was the end?
CLCPhila, like Philadelphia.
Yep.
CLCPhila.org. You can donate to our cause there, and there's no obligation to you but you can serve and volunteer. But we serve whoever walks in our doors with whatever problem that they have and we try to serve all the people who, are in financial need in our more depressed part of the cities.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, James, as well as your story here, and wish you the best going forward there.
Really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to goodneighborpodcast.com. That's goodneighborpodcast.com or call 954-787-7151. goodneighborpodcast.com or call 954-787-7151.